Hey, Dave here. In Texas, the weather's been turning up the heat. I'm sure you're familiar with that as well, because we're just now kind of getting into summer. Although usually our summers here are a lot earlier, and we just had a bunch of rainfall all through May and June, so just now the heat's starting to heat up. But anyway, yeah, it's turning to summer, and just thought I'd get on here and show a few things that have interested me or that I've watched or listened to here lately. If I cough or, you see me touching my eyes like that, it's because my allergies have really been bothering me lately. I actually got 2 allergy shots this month already, and I should have gone already to get a 3rd one, but yeah, whatever's the pollen or whatever it is has really been bothering me lately. But yeah, first world problems, as they say. But this is the first movie I saw. It was called The Immediate Family, and it was just about the session men that worked on a lot of different artist albums back in the generally back in the 70s, maybe 68, 70, up through like the mid 70s and 80s even, I would imagine. But you had people, interviewed or else, being spotlighted, like James Taylor. David Crosby was on there for a little bit, Linda Ronstadt, Don Henley, and various other people. Keith Richards was even on it. But yeah, what it was is generally the 4 musicians that they spotlighted was, they showed they were all 4 on this album here, which is the Carole King album, Thoroughbred. And here's the back of it. And the 4 musicians that they spotlighted were Robert Waddy Wachell, Danny Kuchmar, Russell Kunkel, who plays drums, and Leland Schuyler, who plays bass. Wachell played guitar, and Danny Kuchmar played guitar as well. You might can see that right there. But on this album, they all 4 played on her album. And then on some of the other albums that, they played in various combinations as session musicians. Like, Waddy Wachell played a lot with Linda Ronstadt, and Kuchmar, Danny Kuchmar played a lot with James Taylor. And they all just kind of like, traded out, the bassist Leland Schuyler played on various combinations too. So, I mean, they all were rather interchangeable and would at times go out on the road with musicians and everything. But The Immediate Family was a interesting documentary to watch. It's about the same director that did one earlier called The Wrecking Crew. Also saw this movie here called Scum by Alan Clark, which was, I believe, the first broadcast, or maybe just solely broadcast on British television. And it was about the youth delinquent homes in Britain, which is for underage boys, and it took place back in the 70s. It's sort of akin to our juvenile delinquent homes here, like kids that are underage that have committed crimes. But I kind of took away from this film, maybe not all the crimes that these kids here, at least in this movie, that they did were not all that serious. Most of them were just like, stealing stuff and whatnot. Some might have been sent there just on, erroneous, things that the system that they got hung up in. But at any rate, the homes that they got sent to were really pretty brutal. And they were ruled over by, sort of very domineering or just kind of like brutal adults. And so they were, slapped around and, forced to do all kind of things, but and really just aggravated. But I understand that they aren't that way now, kind of like I would imagine how they are in the States here now. But yeah, it's fairly interesting to watch. I watched this documentary here. It's called Pennywise, the story of it. And mostly it's about the 1990 movie, I believe it's what it was, the one with Richard Thomas in it, which also had a bunch of other actors. And it's the one that I really favor. I've got it somewhere back there on DVD, but they interviewed all the actors, and, Stephen King is on it as well. And, it was about a 2-hour documentary. Yeah, it talked about some of the younger there were two sets of actors, the youngsters when they first encountered Pennywise, and then like they came back when they were adults going to this town they were from to try and get rid of Pennywise. But anyway, it's just about the horror movie, and about how it was filmed and everything. But at any rate, it was a pretty interesting documentary. Then I saw this one. I was curious about it. It's called Sisu, S-I-S-U. And it's about this guy here. And really, it wasn't that great of a movie, I didn't think, because it's like we've seen movies like this 1,000 times before, kind of like John Wick. And way before that, you have like Rambo and, action stars like that. And, it wasn't boring or anything, but it's just that, we've seen it all before. And it's just about like this one guy that, can really kick ass and, take names later. And it's just about, he had found a bunch of gold. It takes place back in World War II. And, of course, he runs into some Nazis that are trying to take it from him. And, of course, he fights all of them and, grabs a machine gun and mows them all down. But, he gets by unscathed. But, yeah, it was okay for an action flick. It's not highly recommended, but it was sort of interesting as well. I saw this documentary here. It's called In Restless Dreams, the music of Paul Simon. They say this is a series, but really it was just a 2-parter type movie. And starts out with Paul Simon, when he was growing up, I believe in Brooklyn, and how he met Art Garfunkel, how they started their band way back then in the 60s. And then, how they kind of parted ways and then came back together when they made that documentary movie, Live in Central Park. But it just kind of talked about all the albums he had done, and along with the ones that he did with Simon or along with Art Garfunkel. And, where he's at now, he actually has a house down around Austin. At least he did at the time of this movie. And just sort of talked about some of his songwriting and how he went about that, and, where his, head is now as far as music is concerned. But, yeah, if you're into Paul Simon, I talked about his movie, One Trick Pony, which I actually have the soundtrack to back there on vinyl. But, which is actually a good movie. I actually got the movie as well. But, talked a little bit about his first marriage with Carrie Fisher. And, various things that have happened throughout his lifetime and career. But, yeah, if you're into Paul Simon, I thought it was a worthwhile watch. And I think that's all the movies that I have seen here lately. Last night I watched Alone, which is sort of a true life, sort of a I wouldn't say game show like Survivor, but in a way a little bit, you know, and it's just about people out in the wild. They pick like 10 contestants and put them in various places. They're at the Arctic Circle right now. It's where the place that they chose to put them. And they pick 10 different people, both, you know, men and women. And they're all really educated about being in places like that and how to, what plants to eat and, you know, how to catch game and all that type of thing. It may not seem like the type of thing that to you that I may like, but actually it's pretty interesting. It comes on the History Channel. And I've seen most of the seasons, and last night, well, let's see, like last week was the start of it. And last night they had also a new beginning for one in Australia, which has Australian contestants. And they are in New Zealand. And it looks like they're in New Zealand in the warmer months. But yeah, I like both of them. So I watched that last night. As far as music, let's see here. I've been listening to this stuff that a friend had left me. There are duplicates that he had. He works there in Austin, or he's retired now. But he lived on the south part of Austin and would commute to the northern part of Austin. And so he kind of really couldn't, you know, get back to his house very easily. So he would, like, you know, go to work there and then come home at the end of the day and, you know, maybe take a lunch or whatever. But he would take some CDs with him, had duplicates of some CDs. And he gave me a few of them since he's not working anymore. This is Fats Navarro, which I already have, like this. I had this one right here, album by Fats Navarro. This is a live set from 1948. And has all these other players on there, like Milt Jackson is on here that plays some piano and a vibe. You got Kenny Clark and various other musicians. This is a 2 CD set. But, and Fats Navarro plays a trumpet, as you can see right here. But, this CD here is a really good one because there's also some singing on it, which I think it actually adds to it. There's a female singer on one of it, and then I think there's a male singer too, if my memory is right. But yeah, this is a pretty good CD. Actually, this came out of a set, and this is just the 4th disc of that set. It's called The Fats Navarro Story, and it's on the Proper CD label, and I'm not familiar with that label, but yeah, it's called Double Talk. Pretty good CD. And then here's another one that's another trumpet player. This is called Willie the Lion, right here, 1938 to 1940. Didn't know anything about him, but again, it's some earlier jazz from that era. Has a lot of different songs on it. Probably has a few covers on here, like, let's see if I can find one. Well, I don't see anything. Well, Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea is probably one. Stormy Weather, I recognized, but yeah, another good jazz find, at least for me, that I had never heard of. This is called The Slide Guitar Bottles, Knives, and Steel, Volume 2. You can see right there. This is the back side of it. And it's just like it said, this is like slide guitar and from various people like Tampa Red, Barbecue Bob, Weaver and Beasley. all masters of that type of guitar right here. This is on Columbia. And yeah, interesting if you're into slide guitar. Didn't have this one. This one's called Baggs Meets Wes. So this is Milt Jackson and Wes Montgomery. Wes Montgomery plays guitar, and Milt Jackson plays vibes on it. Also has Wynton Kelly, Sam Jones on bass, and Philly Joe Jones on drums. This is on the Original Jazz Classics label. And, you know, I like anything with Wes Montgomery on it, playing guitar. So, yeah. Started listening to this one. This is Radiohead's The King of Limbs. And the music is a bit like that cover there. Here's the back of it. But kind of starts out sort of techno and a little bit abstract, and then turns into kind of more songwriting along the lines of some of their other albums. I picked this up and didn't really like it at first, but it has since grown on me. And yeah, another good Radiohead album. Cool artwork inside. So, yeah. King of Limbs by Radiohead. Been listening to some David Crosby lately. This is 1,000 Roads. And probably one of his lesser CDs, but still really pretty good. Sort of pop songs and songs kind of like he would write with Crosby, Stills and Nash, not too indifferent from that. But, you know, if you like some of his other albums, his first album was really kind of a classic. But I had some of these other CDs by him and have been listening to them from time to time. And because I really didn't listen to them that much when I had them or brought them home. And yeah, really enjoying his songwriting, singing. You know, and it's got some people on here I'm sure that you'd recognize, like Graham Nash probably sings on a few songs. You got Phil Collins on drums, and he may even sing on some of this. You got Jackson Browne that sings on some of the songs and does harmony. Again, I was talking about Leland Skyler on bass. He plays on a song. And Jeff Porratio, if I'm pronouncing it right, plays on a song. You know, a lot of session musicians. And yeah, pretty good CD of David Crosby. I picked this up recently. This is Paul Simon. What is this? Songs from Cape Man. And I kind of got interested in more Paul Simon after watching that documentary on him. So, yeah, I picked this up. I really hadn't even listened to it yet, but I think this is more, you know, he kind of went off on a ethnic world route in his later career, and I think this is like Latin songs. People from Latin America and so forth. But like I said, I haven't listened to it yet. So, yeah, we'll look forward to listening to it here in a little bit. Pick this up. This is some Stan Getz. It's actually if I'm not mistaken, it's a 2 CD set of live recordings. Let's see, it's here called Stan Getz at Storyville. Yeah, volumes 1 and 2. If I can get the light to shine right. But one of the reasons I picked it up is because it's got Jim Rainey on guitar, who I always liked. And then you've got others as well. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like a quintet. But I've only listened to it like once or twice, but it's real nice. I kind of like it because it's music from another era, and as you can see, he's really young there. So, yeah, it's on Roulette Jazz right there. And it's a real nice recording if you can find a copy of it. Yeah, Stan Getz. Then I bought this. This is a George Winston's White Rabbit. It's an album that he did for CTI recordings right there. And it's got, you know, White Rabbit is a cover that he did from the Jefferson Airplane song. It's also got a theme from The Summer of 42, which was a movie way back when. It's got Little Train and California Dreamin' from the Mamas and Papas, and El Mar right here. So yeah, it's a new album I picked up here recently. You know, there's some, like a lot of the CTI stuff, there's some orchestration and whatnot on it. But, you know, I kind of like that. This was really before he actually went, you know, totally in that more commercial vein. But yeah, I mean, like even so, you know, I still like a lot of George Benson's work, even, you know, when he went more commercial. But yeah, pretty good album by him. So that's what I've been doing lately. Been reading a little bit too, and you know, just watching the tube. So I hope everybody's enjoying their summer, and I need to run to the store. After we had that big power outage, I never really have made it back to the store to buy too much. I just bought a little bit because I kind of figured we'd be having, you know, continual power outages until they got us all up online, and I didn't want to ruin any more food. So, yeah, I need to go to the store today, but hope everybody's enjoying their weekend and their summer, and we'll talk to you later.